Prior to becoming president, Barack Obama started off as a senator of Illinois. He represents the Democrat Party. In 2008, he ran and won the 2008 election as president.
The head of state is the chief public representative of a country. As head of state, Obama presents himself as a very clear, confident speaker. He uses repetition of you, your, our, and we to persuade Americans and make issues seem universal and that we can fix them together. In times of crises, Obama met the needs of the people to a certain degree. For example, during Ebola crisis, Obama required isolation for those returning from West Africa and discouraged Americans from traveling there. He also provided reassurance to the public in a speech in support for Liberia. Unfortunately, he did not implement a travel ban, although most Americans wanted him to. President Obama's public support has dropped. Honesty and trustworthiness decreased from 60% in June 2012 to 50% in November 2013, and in November 2013, Obama had a 37% approval for his healthcare policy, which decreased from 49% the previous year. He also had 39% approval for the economy, which decreased from 44%. As a competent speaker, Obama has multiple famous speeches, including a More Perfect Union speech given in response to his pastor, Jeremiah Wright's criticism of the government being racist. Obama responded by saying that Wright's views do not support his own, however, he did address the country's issue on race, saying, "Working together, we can move beyond some of our old racial wounds, and that, in fact, we have no choice to if we are to continue on the path to a more perfect union." In his Democratic nomination speech, Obama thanked supporters and encouraged hope by saying that America can do better and promised to capture Osama bin Laden. In a speech regarding the Sandy Hook shooting, Obama reached out to support the grieving families and suggested more gun law control. Obama interacted with the press and public a lot by visiting states to receive support and addressing public concerns. Overall, Obama received a B- for head of state due to his lack of urgency during the Ebola crisis and other crises and decrease in public support. The chief of party helps promote the goals of the party and get other officials from the party elected to office. Although Obama traditionally made appearances on behalf of his party for fundraising support and to encourage voter turnout, recently Democrats have been avoiding affiliation with Obama because of the lack of support and low poll numbers. For instance, 8 days before the midterm election, Obama still had not campaigned beside any Democrats in a close race and only visited states in which he was popular in. Additionally, Democrats have lost seats in Congress while Republicans have gained seats in Congress since Obama has taken office, resulting in a divided government. In the 2014 election, in the House of Representatives, Democrats lost 10 seats, resulting in Republicans acquiring a 34-seat majority. In the Senate, the Democrats lost 9 seats, resulting in Republicans obtaining 54 seats and Democrats 44 seats. Obama did reflect the ideological views of the Democratic Party by fighting to diminish discrimination through the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. He also reflected the Democratic platform, which states, "We believe accessible, affordable, high-quality health care is part of the American promise," and resulted in the Affordable Care Act. He also reflected Democratic immigration beliefs by making it easier for immigrants to become citizens. Because Obama is the first black president, he expanded the Democrat voting base by increasing minority voters. His election also signaled a Democratic realignment. Obama received a B- for being chief of the party because of the lack of support of fellow Democrats and loss of congressional seats, yet he has stayed true to his party platform.
As chief executive, the president has the authority to execute the laws of the nation. Obama ran a delegative style, which is when he turns the issues over to the groups for members to work on with no guidance from the president. He gave most of his responsibilities to highly qualified people to work on. An example is the health care bill fiasco, which could have been avoided if he had not turned over the matter to Pelosi and Reid. He sought to expand the size of the government. They said that it was an explosion under Obama because of the government size. And the spending, so government spending increased about 4%, usually from mandatory funds, such as Medicare, Social Security, and this is not his fault because he doesn't work alone on this. Job employment in the government increased about 6.2% because he hired from departments of Homeland Security, Justice, Veterans, and Defense. Large-scale regulation has increased since Obama came into office. 75 major regulations made it in the first 2 years, usually costing more than $100 million, such as pipeline safety, air cargo screening, and insurance for children under the age of 26. Many had a positive impact and benefited more people, and he made these changes because they were good ideas, not political moves. During the 2008 election, Obama said he wanted a team of rivals and people that were diverse in his cabinet. He ended up choosing loyalists, but he relies more on his inner circle. And such as when he relied on the inner circle for the Ebola issue. There's no gender or racial diversity in his cabinet. It's only white males, and people think that he's ignoring the Africans and Latinos, etc., who helped him reach the presidency. And many people said that was a shame, but he does not replace members of the cabinet often, usually only after the first term. He works well with the Senate to move his appointees through the nomination process. Only one has been rejected. Overall, Obama deserves a B as chief executive because instead of executing laws himself, he would turn over responsibilities to others. He did not use his cabinet that he appointed, and his cabinet was not diverse, which really made people mad about that, especially minority groups. He did make sure policies would benefit the people rather than making them solely for political moves, such as the health insurance, covering kids until they're 26 years old, and he worked to benefit the people, but some of the methods he used made the public unhappy.
President Obama's most famous piece of legislation is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Fulfilling one of his earliest campaign promises, Obamacare federalized the healthcare industry and promised fair coverage to all Americans, including those with pre-existing conditions. Obamacare has received much criticism, including debate over its constitutionality, its extreme expansion of the federal government, that some of the 10 necessary points aren't really necessary, that it is not cost-effective, that it does not provide adequate coverage, and much, much more. Additionally, many believe that this bill was rammed through Congress, seeing that not one Republican voted for the bill, and its final version was passed by a reconciliation vote in the Senate, despite that this was not a budgetary matter. Stepping away from the Affordable Care Act, the president has signed virtually every bill that has made it to his desk, wielding his veto only twice. However, in the most recent State of the Union address, he has threatened to break that trend if he sees it necessary. In an interview, the president claims that, while he had a Democratic House, he had the most productive Congress since Lyndon Johnson. In the same interview, he said that since he's lost Congress, he hasn't been able to get nearly as much done. Though to some degree this is to be expected from any president during a divided Congress, it does say something about his partisanship. Obama calls his economic policies middle-class economics, seeking to expand welfare programs and raise minimum wage in order to create fair economic opportunity for all. He also largely subscribes to Keynesian economics and put many capital gain taxes into place. The president has put much public emphasis on redistributing the wealth of the top 1%, but further investigation suggests that his policies affect the top 10% just as heavily. Obama entered office during a global recession. For the first 4 years of office, little improvement was seen. Unemployment did fall slightly, but critics argue that this was only because people stopped seeking employment altogether. In late 2012 and 2013, the United States started to see some recovery. Gross domestic product growth per working-age population was higher in America than any of the other 2007 banking crisis countries. Many critics of Obama and left-leaning economic policies argue that raising minimum wage only increases the cost of living and leads to layoffs, and that many of his redistribution policies go against some of the basic principles America was founded upon. However, it is certainly possible that these policies were necessary to combat the recession, and that their undesirable side effects could be reversed in a time of greater economic stability. Obama has publicly declared that he has no ideology when it comes to foreign affairs, saying that we needed to look past something as small as ideology to do what makes sense. Many critics believe that he's saying this simply so he does not have to defend his ideologic political agenda. Many of our best allies are harshly criticizing Obama's America. The famously pro-American foreign minister of Poland says that under Obama, the Polish-American alliance is worthless, even harmful, as it gives Poland a false sense of security. Critics from everywhere on the political spectrum believe that Obama has not done enough militarily or diplomatically in response to the beheadings of American journalists by ISIS. Completely aside from military force, many at home and worldwide don't believe that Obama is flexing nearly enough diplomatic muscle to have the United States be taken seriously in worldly affairs. One of Obama's main campaign promises was that he would pull all American troops out of Iraq. This promise was fulfilled, but many critics believe it was done so too quickly. Recently, President Obama has made it a priority to close Gitmo, as he believes many countries are using it as anti-American propaganda. In June of last year, the president released 5 Taliban commanders from Guantanamo in return for the captured Marine Bo Bergdahl. Recently, it was confirmed that one of these Taliban commanders returned to terrorist activity. President Obama has also made it a priority to stop the policy of isolation with Cuba. Finally, in 2013, President Obama attended Nelson Mandela's funeral. There, he took a selfie.
Overall, Obama had positive reviews as commander-in-chief among the public. In the four major military events during his term, which were the Iraq War, Afghanistan War, the killing of Osama bin Laden, and the ISIS airstrikes, he has tried to reduce combat, and everything he has done has been justified, such as the killing of Osama bin Laden. His budget plan has greatly helped the military by increasing it to over $28 billion in the next 2 years. However, the military does not work well with Obama, as only 15% of the military agrees with him as being commander-in-chief. It seems that is due to Obama ignoring people who have suggested ideas, such as in regards to what to do about ISIS. Obama has good intentions in regards to his military actions, with a few downfalls in between. Because of this, he gets a B as his overall grade as commander-in-chief. President Obama was qualified to become President of the United States because he was 47 years of age when he was first elected, born in Hawaii on August 4th, 1961, and he was a resident within the U.S. for more than 14 years. He gets an A+ as the overall grade for presidential qualifications.
Overall, Obama has run a presidency where he has done well in some aspects, but not so well in others. As chief legislator, Obama has worked with Congress to get items passed, but many have faced harsh criticism. As commander-in-chief, Obama has performed well in some regards to removing troops and preventing unnecessary combat, but does not have good relations with the military. As chief executive, Obama has not executed laws independently, but has instead relied on qualified people to perform this duty. As head of state, he is a talented and confident speaker who responds to attacks, but not always as the public would prefer. This refers back to the killing of Osama bin Laden, where he had high initial support, but his public approval has plummeted since. As chief of party, Obama did fundraise for the Democrats and expanded their voting base while staying true to the platform. However, the Democrats lost seats in Congress this November. As guardian of the economy, Obama attempted to encourage redistribution of wealth, and eventually the economy began to rise again. As chief diplomat, Obama has faulted on foreign affairs and has not handled matters properly, such as the beheading of a journalist from ISIS. As for qualifications, Obama is fully qualified to be in the office of President of the United States.